DJI have just released a new firmware and flight update for the Mini 4 Pro and the DJI Air 3, and hopefully this will fix the issue we got on the last firmware update. Let's get into it. So DJI are really pumping out these updates. I think we've had like maybe 3 or 4 of his last few weeks. It is crazy how quickly they are doing this, but this is a good thing. They are really good at actually giving out new updates when certain features aren't working or if there's issues with the firmware itself. So this new version is DJI Fly 1.13.10 and it's firmware version 01000600 for the Mini 4 Pro and the Air 3. Now a lot of people, when I do these updates, they're saying like, I can't see an update. I'm still on the old version. Why is it not updating? So first of all, let's just show you a reason why that might be happening. It seems to be happening more and more. So what I want you to do, first of all, if you're not seeing this, when you go onto your drone and you click update firmware and you're saying your firmware is up to date, what you want to do is on your DJI RC2, click on profile and then go to settings. And then on settings, you'll see check for firmware updates. So if you click that, you'll probably see your firmware is up to date and be like, well, I'm just watching this guy's video and he's got a new update. What you want to do is go to the bottom of there where it says about, click on about and then click check for updates. Once you've done that, it will then give you this box saying there is a new DJI Fly update available. You want to click on that then and click update, and then in the background that is going to update both the DJI Fly version and the DJI firmware as well on the Mini 4 Pro and the Air 3. Once that's done, you'll then get a new box on the screen saying it's been updated. Do you wish to do this and update it now or later? Just click now and then that will update it all for you. So I don't know why this is happening, to be honest, but this seems to be like the way of actually forcing it to update. So I hope that helps you out. I know a lot of people see these updates and you can't update yourself and it's really frustrating. It could be sometimes that certain countries get it later as well, but most of the time it's due to this kind of like bug in the system as well. So I hope that helps you. Now, a big issue I noticed on the Mini 4 Pro on the last firmware update is in relation to the actual battery life. Now you see the battery life on the Mini 4 Pro, it's not great anyway. I've spoken about that a few times. But on the last firmware update especially, that battery drain was incredible. I was getting like between 10 to 15 minutes of battery life on the Mini 4 Pro. That is really not great. So when it says what's new about this and you get that really vague message saying overall app stability fixes certain bugs, well on this occasion it might have actually fixed the actual battery drain that was occurring on the last firmware update. So I was really interested to actually test this out. So I'm going to do a full flight test on here again, testing out some of the main features that I'm using. Hopefully you pick something up as well, giving you some tips. Let's see if this is any better. Okay, so I've got the latest firmware updated, so I'm going to click Go Fly, and I'm going to go and check this out to do a performance test to make sure everything's working correctly. Now, it's really important when you do a firmware or a DJI Fly update that you go and check all your settings are correct before you go off and fly. Now, when you do a firmware update especially, this can change some of those settings back to default. So you may have your own customized settings, especially your return to home altitude, your max distance. So you want to check and make sure that they're all correct. So I'll show you those settings in a second, but I'm going to actually be focused on this battery. You can see here now it's saying around about 15-16 minutes until return to home. So it will go down fast. You can see it changes dramatically depending on what features you're using and also the distance from you. So let's use quite a heavy, intense, battery-rich feature, which is hyperlapse. So I'm going to do a really fast waypoint hyperlapse. Just going to do a really minimal one, so a 2-second hyperlapse here. But normally this has been draining the battery a lot. Literally like 20-30% just from a short hyperlapse. So if this is better just from this, then we know that straight away this battery drain has been improved. We're just going to take 50 different photos here, and then it's going to then create you a hyperlapse, a sped up time lapse. Really cool these. I highly recommend. If you've not done these, make sure you go and do hyperlapses. They are really cool. Now switching to that vertical camera mode, making sure the vertical camera is working as it should. So it's switched to vertical mode really fine, and you can see now nice and stable, everything's working there, no lag at all. And whilst we're flying straight, just having a look at that compass in the bottom left hand corner, that's working spot on as well. There was an issue with this a few updates ago. That's been completely rectified now, so hopefully no issues there if you was having issues with that compass. Really enjoy taking photos on the Mini 4 Pro, so let's just test this out as well. So one in horizontal, just getting this lined up. Make sure you tap to focus and then hit that shutter button. I use 12 megapixel the most, to be honest. And then vertical mode as well, again framing, get that composed, hit the shutter button, and no issues there. So photos working great, and I've really been enjoying using photos a lot recently on the Mini 4 Pro. Today's video is sponsored by Motion VFX, and I'm using their titles, plugins and effects on every single one of my videos. They save me so much time. If you're a video editor, I cannot recommend this platform enough. I like using the Apple Light fonts to show information on the screen like this. I can have lower thirds, I can have different pop-ups on the screen, and you can choose from all of these different plugins on their website. And if you want to show lists and graphs on your video, you can actually use the iJustine plugin, all completely done for you and customizable. You can have that futuristic look that I use on the screen a lot as well for showing different text and fonts using the M-Channel Cyber. You can also have text behind you as well using the Roto AI tool. All of these different assets and tools are available to you, and they save me so much time. If I was to do all this manually, it'd take me at least 10 times longer. That's why I'm using all of these different plugins every single day. And there's also a 30% off sale at the moment as well. So I'm going to link it at the top of the description. I highly recommend you go and check these out. If you're a video editor, this is going to save you so much time. Let's get back into the video. Okay, back to the test. So battery life is doing pretty well, 68%. So let's have a look on quick shots. Again, this can drain that battery a lot. So I'll do a really simple one here. So droney. So let's just highlight over this tram track here. So you can see it identifies that car as well. So it's really good how this works. But we're just going to actually set the distance to, let's say, 60 meters. And then we're going to hit start, and the drone will automatically fly back, keeping the kind of like the tram track composed in the center all the time. Quick shots I really do enjoy. Now if you look at the actual battery life, let's click on that. So it's now saying around about 10 minutes of battery life left until return to home. Now compared to like the last test, already this is much better. It does deplete fast depending on which kind of like features you're using, but that's why I'm trying to focus on like worst case scenario now. It did do like some weird thing once it finished the quick shot, as it was actually returning back to its home point. And look what it does here. I've never seen this before. So the camera is now panning upwards towards the clouds, and the drone is actually flying forwards rather than its actual home point, which was a lot lower down and near the tram track. So a bit of a weird bug there, but it only did it once, so I'm not going to focus too much on that. Now, I really do enjoy this. So it's just swipe to the bottom left-hand corner on that compass, and you can now see out of the obstacle avoidance sensors. So this is really cool. Now, I'm not sure if I've just missed this or not, but you can select any of these arrows to look out of the obstacle avoidance cameras. But if you hold down for around about 2 seconds on one of those arrows, it actually locks it. So as I'm flying forwards now, it's actually staying on that left camera. So that's really handy to use. Another feature that drains a battery is spotlight and tracking as well. So I saw this tractor here. Now, unfortunately, the Mini 4 Pro doesn't have tractor identification. So hopefully DJI, could we add that? Because as I'm dragging a box around here, you can see it does identify it as an object, but you can't use active track on tractors, unfortunately. But I will test out spotlight mode as well. So I can do my own orbit around here, so I can mimic what you could do on spotlight just by orbiting around that tractor. But also if I identify that tractor again, then I'll test out spotlight as well, because normally this does drain the battery a lot, and it's not been great. It's been a bit hit and miss recently. Let's try it out. Now with spotlight, all you do is drag a box around an object, a building, could be a tractor like this, and then all you do is you're just going to actually push left, right, up or down on the controller sticks, and the drone will actually ensure that whatever that object is stays focused, centered in that middle of the frame. So it's really good at getting like some really smooth kind of like cinematic shots without you having to do everything yourself. It handles the gimbal motion and panning for you. And you can see, even though it doesn't know what this thing is, it's not identifying it as a car, and that would be great if it could do. It is doing a good job at keeping that tractor and caravan centered all the time. You can see as I get closer to it, that gimbal also pan as well. And you've also got POI as well. This drains a battery normally fast. So if I just highlight that tractor, I'm going to set it to fast, hit record, and the drone will fly really fast around it. If you look at that compass, you can see just how much it is really going to that side, and it's going to go around the tractor. It's lost it a little bit here. Again, it's just because it's not identifying it as a vehicle, but it will just spin around that, and it's really good for these like different types of shots that are quite hard to mimic yourself. So yeah, overall really good, and still impressed that we've got 44% battery for a Mini 4 Pro. That is really impressive considering we've done hyperlapse, quick shots, POI, spotlight mode, photos, videos, so much better already. A quick test of return to home as well, that's working great. Just make sure you've got the AR return to home on, that gives you that really nice green icon on the screen as well. Now one thing that was a bit hit and miss, to be honest, is the photos. Now in panel photos, I've really been enjoying using them recently on 180 degrees and also wide angle. Been testing out the Apple Vision Pro, so panorama photos on there are amazing, so mixing that in with drone photos is really cool. I really encourage you to do these as well. But when I've been actually doing this, again, it's a battery drainer, so I'm only down now to 3 minutes of battery life. On a few occasions, just before it actually finished that panel photo, got to about 80-90%, I would have this message say aircraft moved, and it wouldn't finish it. You'd have to restart it again. Now it was 190 meters high, about 400 feet, wasn't particularly windy at all, and I've certainly flown in a lot windy conditions at this height, and it's worked. So that is quite annoying, because I do enjoy taking these panel photos. Now the low battery message has come on. You can click the C1 button when you get this message on screen to actually cancel it returning to you, but just be really careful. You don't get long at all now until the forced landing will occur. So if I click on the button now, it's on 18%. In 2 minutes the forced landing will happen. That's where the drone will automatically try and land, and you have to push up on the left stick to prevent it landing. So if it's far out, that's going to end really badly. So let's just show you some of these settings that you want to make sure are correct as well. So obstacle avoidance action, I would set that to bypass rather than off. I would have it on off if I'm actually flying through tight spaces. I want my display radar map on all the time. The return to home altitude, so around about 120 meters max, depending on the tallest object in your area. Your max altitude should be 120 meters, 400 feet, unless you've got permission to go higher than that. You can set your max distance to basically no limit and just make sure you're actually flying within the laws of your country. Under advanced safety settings, make sure that's set to return to home. You don't want it to set to descend. If you have like a disconnect, you want that drone to automatically come back to you. These things can occur, so make sure these are set 100% as you want them to be before you go off and fly. And under all your different focus track settings, you gain an expo settings. If you've customized these, are these still the same as they were last time? Just go and have a look at them before you go off and fly as well. I go through all of these different settings in my cheat sheets as well. Now under camera settings, I would shoot in D-Log M. You can shoot in normal as well if you're not too familiar on color grading, but just make sure these are set how you would normally fly as well. Grid lines, I always have my grid lines on, rule of thirds as a minimum. That will help you out a lot with framing. And then on that same camera setting, go down there and under style, you want your sharpness to be, I would say, -1. Any higher than that, it's going to be too sharp. Noise reduction, you keep that on 0. If you're filming in low light, nighttime, have it on 1. But especially the sharpness, by default, that's just set far too sharp. So make sure you change that. So overall, really impressed with the new film update on that Mini 4 Pro. So it doesn't bring any new features, but it certainly has addressed the battery drain, so that's great to see. Getting 19 minutes of battery life when using all the different features on here is actually really good. Now, if you want any more tips and tricks on the Mini 4 Pro or the Air 3, telling you how to get the very most out of this, how to change certain settings on here, how to fly this better, making your footage look better, then I've got my own DJI cheat sheets as well. These go through all the key information, the settings that you need to change. So I highly recommend you go and check them out as well. They're going to be listed on my website at the top of the description. So thanks so much for watching this. Go and update your Mini 4 Pro or your DJI Air 3. I hope it fixes the battery drain for you as well. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.